Hi guys, welcome back to episode number 2 of the weekly playback, where I talk about the games I've played in the past week and the games I'm backing on Kickstarter. Some of you probably thought I wouldn't be back because I tend to say I'm going to do things and then maybe not always follow through, but I do intend to make this a weekly thing and stick to it. So thank you for coming back. I am testing out different kinds of thumbnails. I suck at making thumbnails, as you might be able to tell. Tell me what you think of this week's thumbnail. If you get a chance, that would be appreciated. So without further ado, let's jump into this week's games that I have played. So this past week, I had the opportunity to play a game, 2 games actually, with a friend, a Twitter board gaming friend who happened to be in the area. So we met up at Purity Ice Cream to play Top Pop. So this is a game that is actually coming to Kickstarter on Tuesday. So you will see a 1-minute overview video from me for this game, and it is by Talon Strike Studios. They've made games like one of their recent games that I covered, which was really good, Night Market, which I really liked. That was on Kickstarter a couple of months ago, I think. They've done games like Camp Pinetop, which, by the way, I will be doing a giveaway for starting next week, so be on the lookout for that. The giveaway will probably be just on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. So make sure you follow and have subscribed to my Twitter profile, Puffindor, Puffindor, Instagram, and Board Games in a Minute, and Facebook, Board Games in a Minute. You will be able to submit more than one entry across all 3 platforms. So if you want a chance to win Camp Pinetop and their other game, Public Market, then make sure you are subscribed and following those 3 different platforms. So Top Pop, I will talk a little bit about it since I did play it. And of course you can watch my 1-minute overview if you don't want to listen to this. You can just skip right over it. So this is like a set collection game. You are stacking up these bottle caps on various different city cards. I mean, these are just kind of not really relevant. Each player will have this. It's just like a guide to tell you, how the game plays and how the end game scoring works and such. But essentially it's a set collection game, and there are different city cards. And you are, on your turn, able to place a city card either in front of you or in front of someone else. If you place it in front of you, you get to take 1 cap of your choice from the pool of caps in the middle. If you place it in front of someone else, you get to take 2 caps. You get to take the color that they placed, the color that they own, and then a color of your choice. So you may want to place these in front of someone else. You may want to place it in front of you. Why you do that matters, because when you have the tallest stack of caps, when it's back to your turn, that is when you can collect caps. So if the card was in front of you, if the city was in front of you and you had the tallest stack on that city, you would actually return it to the supply. You don't get to keep it. But if it was in front of another player, they collect the tallest stack, and then all the other stacks go back to the players who own them. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, so it's a bit tricky in terms of, placing stacks, placing your bottle caps. And if you place a stack in front of someone else, like let's suppose someone owns a city and you want to place a stack on the card that is in front of them, you have to make sure that you include the colors that are included in the tallest stack. So you cannot have the tallest stack unless you include the other colors that are already in the tallest stack. So, you have to make sure you have caps that belong to other players if you want to try and claim the tallest stack on a different city. And it gets a bit tricky. It is a really tricky set collection game. I did not do very well, but I would definitely like to play it again. And there are different variants that you can play with. I just played the basic game, but I really liked it. It's not your basic, like, straightforward set collection game, and I feel like I want to play it a couple more times to really learn what a good strategy is in this game. Because yeah, it was really interesting. I'll just say that it was just a very interesting set collection game, like not something that I've ever played before, but it's pretty cool. So yeah, it has different scenarios that you can do. There's a two-player variant. There is a city power variant, which we didn't play, but I would like to try that. So I might take it to this week's game night and see if anyone is down to play this. So yeah, so be on the lookout for Top Pop. This will be on Kickstarter on Tuesday. Oh, and player count is 2 to 5 players. It says it's for ages 8+ and plays in about 60 minutes, which I think is about right. Actually, when we first started playing it, we totally messed up the rules the first time. We were just taking, like if someone had a stack that they were claiming in front of someone else, we just gave it back to the person who owned it, so we were doing it completely wrong. So then we started again, and playing correctly does make a difference. So this is a game that you definitely want to get the rules correct. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it. I like the theme. I like the artwork. I like the different cities in this game. And I would definitely play this again. So yeah, and I definitely do want to play it again. So I'm hoping to play that again. So that was the first game I played. I played a 3-player game of it. With the same friend from Twitter, I played Plantopia, also a 3-player game. This is a game I had backed on Kickstarter. So this game is 2 to 5 players, but it does have a solo mode, which I've played as well, and I will talk about the solo mode in a few minutes. So in this game, you are going to have a garden. You are trying to grow different kinds of plants. This is also a card drafting and set collection game. Well, the last game wasn't a card drafting game, but it was a set collection game. So you are going to have all these adorable different plants, and it is a very pun-tastic game. Like, just to give you an example, like instead of cactus, this is catus, because it's a cat. Instead of Eiffel Tower, you have the Eiffel flower. So I love all the puns. And my favorite tree, let me see if I can find you my favorite tree, because then you will know why it's my favorite if you know me. Yeah, I know I'm wasting your guys' time, but let me find it. Da, 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 da. Okay, this isn't my favorite, but I just have to show you. Kangaroo grass, like, how cool is that? Oh my gosh, where is it? Where is my favorite tree? Ah, here it is. The boba tree. That is my favorite tree. I love the boba tree. So in this game, you are going to start the game with a hand of 5 cards, I believe, or is it 6 cards? I believe it's 6 cards. You start the game with 6 cards, I think. And the game is played in multiple rounds, and there's 2 phases in each round. You have the planting phase and then the weather phase. So you are going to have these planter cards. Each player will have 5 planter cards, and you are trying to grow your plants up to level 3 and then collect the points. So you are going to be planting your plants, and then there's a weather phase where there will be randomly selected weather cards, and then you also from your hand get to try to select the weather that will grow your plant. So you want to try to pick the right weather depending on what is already showing. There will be, depending on the number of players, like for example, 1 face-up weather card, maybe 1 or 2 face down, so you don't know what those are, and then you are thinking of what do you need to grow your plant, and so you will select the weather card that you want and hope the other players also select the weather that you need. And there are opportunities based on different plants to maybe get a bonus weather card that you can use once and then put it back in the bonus pile. So some of these cards like have bonuses that you get, like some are immediate, some are going to be end game. There are different types. If it's a tree evolved plant, which is one that's harder to grow, such as this one, that's going to be an end game scoring bonus. So yeah, so tree evolved plants require you to have a certain baby plant of a certain type at a certain growth level that you would discard to plant a tree evolved plant. It is, you know, it's not your, it's like when I first started playing this, I thought it was going to be like a bit of a kiddie game, like meant for kids, but no, there is a bit more thinking involved to it, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I just loved the artwork. I thought it was a very pleasant, like relaxing, fun set collection game, and I was eager to play it solo. So I did also play it solo, and solo was fun. I did the no automato variant, which means I was just playing against myself. You're trying to beat your own score. You're not playing against, you know, another person. I don't even know how that would work, to be honest. like trying to simulate playing against other players. Like, to me, that doesn't even make sense. I don't know. I guess I would have to try it. So yeah, when you're trying to beat your own score, you're basically going against a clock. There's going to be a stack of 10 cards, which will, you know, be your 10 different turns. So you'll get 10 planting phases and 10 weather phases, you know, planting weather, planting weather, planting weather, so on. And then at the end, you just calculate your score, and you still get your bonus weather opportunities. You still have the weather phase, you know, so the number of cards, they'll tell you how many you need of each. The solo mode worked really well, and I scored like in the middle range. I think my score was 51. So I really, really like the solo mode of this. I mean, I definitely think that this is a game when I travel, I'm going to take it with me because it plays multiplayer. So I like it as a kind of like an easygoing multiplayer game, and I can play this on like airplanes or when I'm traveling and I just really have like an itch to play a game. So I think that this is the perfect game for traveling with from now on, and I'm definitely going to do that. So I'm really glad I backed this on Kickstarter. So if you guys want to see it again, it's called Plantopia. Yeah, so check that out. Okay, so that was the second game I played. Okay, and then I played a game that I don't have in my collection. So I'll maybe put a picture of it up here. It was called Elder Sign. So at my last meetup, my game meetup that I run, we met up to play games, and there was a couple of newcomers. There was 4 different newcomers, and so I thought it would be good for all of us to play one game together rather than split up. So the only game that accommodated all 8 of us at that time was Elder Sign. So yeah, so this game came out in 2011. It's one of those games where, you know, it's H.P. Lovecraftian themed. You are trying to, you each have your own, it's a cooperative game for 1 to 8 players, and you each have your own character and, you know, with special starting cards, you know, like it could be magical items or your weapon or whatever, and you're trying to beat the bad guy, and, you know, more bad guys might appear. You know, there might be monsters that appear on the different locations that you're trying to go to. You're rolling dice to try to satisfy the different locations requirements to get the signs that you need to defeat the bad guy. These kinds of games are typically not my kind of games. I'm not a dungeon crawler kind of person, which I've really discovered about myself over the last year as I've, you know, reviewed more games, played more games. I've discovered I really don't like dungeon crawlers. I'm kind of waiting for the ideal dungeon crawler for me. Like, maybe someday there will be a dungeon crawler that I like, but for me, not really my type of games. And stuff like this kind of feels like dungeon crawly to me. It's not a dungeon crawler, but it, you know, trying to defeat a bad guy, it's just not really my kind of game. The only game that I've enjoyed where you have to kind of defeat a bad guy that, you know, I own is Bargain Quest. I've played it twice, and I would like to play it again to see if I still enjoy it. That's really the only game I can think of right now where you have to, you know, have hit points on a bad guy to try to destroy them that I've really liked. But yeah, Elder Sign, so, you know, you're rolling dice. You may have the opportunity to add 2 extra dice to your pool and then discard a dice to re-roll and so on. You've got like little magical items that might be able to help you. You know, it was an 8-player game. The person who brought the game wanted to make sure that we didn't have too much analysis paralysis, so we don't hold up the game, because, you know, as an 8-player game, I did find myself just like after my turn being like, okay, like just being on my phone or whatever, waiting until my turn again. But it moved at a fairly decent pace. But again, just not my style. I don't like those kinds of games, and it seemed too easy. Maybe we played an easy monster, I don't know, but it didn't seem very difficult. Like, you know, some people got a bit of damage, but then other people had stuff that could heal that damage. Like, it just didn't feel challenging to me at all. So that was another reason I just wasn't as invested in this game. The theme, like, yeah, okay, you've got these cards that show the different locations and stuff, but like, and, you know, I don't know, it just didn't really do much for me. Like, even in terms of theme, like, you know, I prefer Pandemic, The Reign of Cthulhu, If I had to pick an HP Lovecraftian game, I think I would like that. I feel like the theme comes out a little bit more, but like with this, I just didn't feel it come out as much. So yeah, so as you can tell, I'm really not into this kind of stuff, but yeah, so that's one of the games I played. If you guys have played it and you love it, then please feel free to tell me why you love it. But different folks, different strokes for different folks. Not everyone has to like the same thing, so that's perfectly okay. So yes, that was one of the games I played at game night, and then the person who brought that game left, and then we ended up playing a 3 7-player games of Secret Hitler with 4 of the new people. And I will say, with Secret Hitler, that's a game I've played countless times. I don't even keep track of BG stats about that game anymore, because like it would be such a pain to indicate each person what role they played, who won. But this was kind of exciting because I got to be a fascist 3 times in a row, which like never happens. And of course, when I play it, I always want to be a fascist or Hitler, because I feel like it just makes it more fun. I don't want to be a liberal who's just passing liberal policies. Like I'm a liberal in real life, but like when I play the game, I want to be a fascist. When you're playing with new players, it takes a while for them to catch on how to play. So I feel like with Secret Hitler, that's a game when you play it with new players, you have to have a couple of rounds just to introduce them to the game and explain to them maybe what they should be doing based on the role that they have. Like there was one point where a liberal, and I knew this guy was a liberal because I was a fascist and he didn't open his eyes. He had checked the identity of one of our fellow fascists, and when he checked the identity, because he was president, he didn't notify anyone else of that identity. And I was like, that's a bit weird. Like, okay, why wouldn't he do that? And then there was another time where something similar happened. So, I had to try to explain to people, like, when you're a liberal, you really want to point out who the fascists are if you can. So this is a game that I feel like takes some newcomers a bit of time to figure out what they're doing, especially if they've not played a lot of social deduction games before. But if everyone knows what they're doing, it can be super fun. I actually played Secret Hitler last week with some friends who have played the game many times, and it was a lot of fun. So that's a social deduction game I love playing. With the right group of people, it can be a lot of fun. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Capone, the business of prohibition. This was a game that was on Kickstarter, and I did not back it on Kickstarter when it was on Kickstarter because I was utterly broke at the time, but I was able to get a review copy of this, and I'm so grateful because, oh my god, I loved it. It was so good. So this is a bidding game for 2 to 5 players, I believe. Let me just double check. Okay, it's not on the cover. I'm trying to give you guys player accounts because it was mentioned in the comments that people would like player accounts. Let me just quickly look it up on BGG so I can be sure, but I'm pretty sure it's 2 to 5. So this came out in 2020, and it is 2 to 5 players. And you have a truck, and this truck is gonna, before I get to the truck. So each player has a different storefront. So this is about prohibition, and you are going to have a storefront, and on your storefront, you will be storing the bottles that you are collecting to meet different client orders. So at the beginning, depending on player count, a certain number of bottles are going to be drawn from the bag and placed onto the truck here. They're going to be placed into the truck, and then everyone is going to bid for those bottles. You will have money to start the game with, I believe 20 coins to start the game with, and you are going to bid for those bottles so that you can fulfill customer orders. So let me just show you some of these customer orders. I love the artwork in this game, by the way. Check that out. So there's different types of customers, and this is also a set collection game. So at the bottom, you will see the various numbers that you need to collect of these different characters in order to form a set. And then once all the rounds are over, if you've completed a set, you will get the bonus tips for completing that set. But the way it's played generally is you are going to first fill the truck with the bottle so you can see which bottles are there to bid on during that round. Then you will bid, and then there is a trading phase, an open trading phase, where you can trade anything. You can trade bottles, you can trade money, you can trade client cards from behind your bar, in front of your bar. You store cards that have been served in front of your bar, cards that you have not served yet in secret behind your bar. So you can basically trade anything you want, to try to get what you want. Now, if you won all of the bottles in the bidding phase, you may want to trade, because the thing is, After the trading phase is over, there is going to be a visit from Al Capone. Al Capone will steal half of your bottles. No, sorry. He will steal all of your bottles if you have 10 or more bottles. So you, as the winning bidder, do not want to have 10 or more bottles in front of your storefront. So you will definitely want to trade. So there is, the aspect of, other players that are upset that you won the bid, they may want to just screw you over and not trade with you at all, so that all of your bottles are stolen. And then if all of your bottles are stolen, by the way, there's a coin you flip. This didn't happen in the game we played, by the way, but there's a coin you flip. And then based on the coin result, the other players will also lose something. They'll lose either half of their bottles that they have remaining from the previous round, or they will lose half of their money rounded down, I believe. So, there is that little fun aspect to it, but we never encountered that in the game that I played. I do wonder what it would have been like if we had. But it was still a lot of fun. I think usually I suck at bidding and negotiating games. Everyone tells me that I always ask for too much, and that's why no one ever wants to trade with me. And that's definitely the case in Catan. But in this game, I think I clearly had a winning strategy. I would spend as much money as I could on bidding to win all of the bottles, because then I'm like, if I have all of the bottles in my possession, then I get to set the prices. They want to fulfill customer orders, and I get to set the prices, and then I'll also be fulfilling my own customer orders and be getting more money back. So after you fulfill a customer order, you place it in front of you, and then you get the amount listed on the card back in cash. And then if it was your type of building that you own and that kind of drink was served to a customer, you'll also get $1 more for serving that type of a drink to that customer. So I was getting a lot of money back. So I knew I could bid high and get that money returned back to me. And I ended the game with $96, so I won. And the other players had half of what I had. One player had $55 and another had, I think, 43 or 46. So yeah, I think definitely the winning strategy is to bid high and win all the bottles. But again, maybe my friends were too kind and did not screw me over with Capone's visit. So maybe that's something to take into consideration. I definitely want to play this again. I had so much fun playing it. And games are meant to be fun, and this was really a lot of fun. So yeah, so you have 5 rounds in the game. Then there's a police raid. So at the end of the game, after you have collected all of your tips from the sets you've formed, you've already done the basic round stuff where you've collected the money from the customers you've served. For every bottle and unserved customer you have left over, you will pay $1 to the bank. And then whoever has the most money will win. Again, I really liked it, and the components in this game are just amazing. Let me just show you some of the bottles. I have the version that has the metal coins, but I'm sure even the one without the metal coins is going to be really top-notch quality, because obviously these storefronts are all going to be the same quality, and these are really nice storefronts. The truck is really nice. I mean, everything about this is just really nice. I really like it. Yeah, and I just really wanted a game that had to do with the 1920s. I love the 1920s, and I'm really glad to have this game, and I really like it. So yeah, so definitely check out Capone if you're looking for that kind of a game. And again, it is super fun. I had so much fun playing it. Oh, one thing I will mention about this game though. So there's a strategic mode that you can play in this game. And oh, I should have put this back in first, oops. But at least now I can show you what I mean. Okay, so for each person, there's, if you're playing with the strategic version of this game, there's a special ability that each person has. So I was the card dealer, and as the card dealer, my special ability was that once during the game, I can look through the stack of client cards and pick a client I want. I hadn't used my ability. The other 2 friends I was playing with had used their ability. One was able to increase a losing bid by $5 to then win that bid. So he used that. That's very useful. And another friend was able to steal $3 from someone, which is also very useful. My ability to take a card from the stack, when you are doing, so the way the cards are dealt with is each person is given a certain number of cards in each round, and you do a drafting phase. You pick one, you pass it, you pick one, you pass it, and so on until you're left with a hand of cards that you want to try and meet those orders. My special ability was to pick a card of my choice from the stack, and I'm like, well, why would I want to do that? Why would I want an extra card if that's just going to take away $1 from me at the end of the game if I can't fulfill that customer's order? Maybe if I had done it earlier in the game, maybe it would have been a good ability to have, I suppose. Maybe that was, you know, the issue with me. Maybe I should have done it earlier, because like by the time the last round came, I'm looking through the stack and then I'm looking at all the customers behind my bar, which I haven't served yet, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to use my ability now. So maybe that ability is something you need to use earlier. So yeah, I thought that special ability was just not as good as the others, but that's just me. Okay, there is one game that I played 2 weeks ago that I forgot to discuss last week, and I really want to talk about it. It's Rococo Deluxe. That game had been on my shelf of shame. I have it, but the box is huge and I don't want to pull it out to show you guys. Rococo Deluxe is designed by the same designer as a game that I really loved playing, which was called Kraftwagen. This designer is really good, Matthias Kramer. I really like his games. So Rococo Deluxe is a game where you're trying to design sew different kinds of dresses and display them. And yeah, I guess it would be better if I had a board to show you guys. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it too much since I can't show it to you. But yeah, you're just trying to sew different dresses and, you know, buy the kinds of materials you need, if I remember correctly, and then sew them and display them on different areas of the board. There's kind of like majorities going on. If you have the majorities in a certain area, you're able to collect the bonus of that certain area. There's like a fireworks display. You know, again, I don't have the board, so yeah, maybe I shouldn't have started talking about it. But it was so much fun when I played it, and I really loved it. So I highly recommend it. So I'm sorry I can't go into too much detail since I don't have it in front of me. But I knew I was going to love this game because of how much I loved Kraftwagen. And again, Kraftwagen is a game I thought I would not enjoy because of the theme, like you're assembling cars with like the best engine and best body and all of that. And I'm like, I'm not going to enjoy a game about assembling cars, but I really did. And it's actually in my collection. Maybe I'll take it to game night on Wednesday. But yeah, so definitely check out Rococo Deluxe. I never played the original version, so I don't have that, but the artwork of the new deluxe edition appealed to me more anyway. So I'm super glad I have it, and I really want to play it again. So Rococo Deluxe is 1 to 5 players, so you can play it solo. As a solo player, I tend to play games that have like an easy setup and an easy takedown. I'm not really into playing solo games that will take me forever to set up. So I doubt I'll ever play the solo, but I'm definitely down to play it multiplayer again and again, and I definitely do want to play it again. So yeah, definitely check that out. So I think that's all for the games that I wanted to discuss that I've played this week. So I think I'll go into the what am I backing section now. Okay, so let's talk about the games that I am currently backing. From last week, I have not actually backed anything additional since last week. So if you want to see the games I discussed in last week's video, you can go to that video and check that out. Some of those campaigns are still running, but since I'm not backing anything new, I thought I would ask you guys for your opinions on some of the games. One of these games that I will ask your opinion for is a game that I will actually be covering, I think, if it gets to me in time. It's called The Forest of Pangaia. I think that's how it's pronounced, or is it Pangaia? I don't know, but it looks adorable. It's got these wooden trees that you stack up. I don't, really know how it plays yet. I guess I will find out once I get it, but I think it's some kind of like, I think people have said it's a little similar to photosynthesis, which I've never played before, so I wouldn't know if that's true or not. But yeah, if you're backing The Forest of Pangaia, please let me know what you think of it. If you've watched any playthrough videos, I know that Stephanie from Minimum Player Count recently did a playthrough video of it. And I did watch her final thoughts on it, and it seemed pretty positive, so I liked her final thoughts, and it seems like a game that I would enjoy. So I didn't watch the playthrough, but I did watch her final thoughts. So yeah, so let me know if you guys are backing Forest of Pangaia and what you think about it. The next game that these are some games I'm just going to mention that I would like to maybe back and see what you guys think about them. So one game I definitely think I want to back is Distilled, but I don't think I'm going to because I believe Jeff Berggren of the Gaming Goat is going to, that's a chain of retail stores, board gaming stores, and I think he's going to be doing a retailer pledge for Distilled. And since I'm a little bit tight on money right now, because I had to buy a new computer recently, so that I can actually start doing playthrough videos using 2 cameras since my laptop is too weak, I'm just very tight on money right now. So I think I'm going to have to pass on Distilled. It looks really good. I don't really watch playthrough videos, but just the comments that I've read from people, it looks really good. So are any of you backing Distilled? Let me know. Another game that looks interesting to me, I just really like the artwork. It's interesting looking artwork, but I don't really know much about the gameplay. It's Arkosa. I think I pronounced that right. Like, it looks like a game with aliens in it. That looks interesting to me. Again, don't really know much about, so as you can tell, I probably back more games than I should just based on artwork alone. But for example, if I know a game is a game that I'm probably not going to enjoy, like a campaign narrative driven kind of game, I probably wouldn't back it. Like, there's a game coming out from Renegade, which the artwork looks amazing, and I absolutely love the artwork, but I'm not really into campaign narrative driven kinds of games. So for that reason, I won't back it. I've already made that mistake too many times where I've backed games based on the artwork, but actually don't enjoy those kinds of games. And that's money I could have spent on games that I do enjoy. So Arkosa, again, the artwork looks cool. I don't know much about it. I should read more about it. Let me know if you guys are backing that. Because maybe your guys' backing decisions will influence my backing decisions. Next, the other game that I might want to back, it's a trick-taking game, and that's a bit interesting because I'm usually not a fan of trick-taking games, but a game I played a couple of months ago I think has maybe converted me into a little bit of a trick-taking fan. I played Shamans a couple of months ago by a designer who I really like, Cedric Chabousset. And Shamans is just so interesting because it's a trick-taking game and a social deduction game kind of like mishmashed into one. And so I really enjoyed that. So this game, Ultia, I think it's called, it's a trick-taking game on Kickstarter. It looks interesting, but I don't know if I'll enjoy it. Like, I'm not a huge fan of the crew, and I know the crew is like award-winning and everything, but like, I was not a fan of it the one time I played it. Maybe I need to play it more often. I don't know. Maybe I'll become a fan if I play it a couple more times. So those are the games that I noticed on Kickstarter that I'm not backing, but if you are, let me know why not, and yeah. So I guess this is a very short section in today's video. So why don't I go to questions that you guys have asked me and answer those. So as you guys might have already figured out, editing videos is not my style. The only editing you'll see is when I stick like a bunch of long clips together. I don't edit out stuff, so sometimes I don't say stuff exactly the way I'm supposed to. So last week I just want to start off this section by saying last week I started saying something and then I couldn't connect it to what I said next because I lost my train of thought. The question was about if I follow any Muslim content creators, and I started talking about Islamophobia again, and then I didn't make the connection. I think if I maybe can figure out what I was trying to say at that time was that it would be nice for me to be friends with other Muslim board game content creators, to have that kind of support from people who might be able to understand the kind of things that I have dealt with in this industry as like a Muslim female, but unfortunately I don't have that kind of support because, as I then went on to mention, I feel like that they're misogynistic and for whatever reasons they want to have nothing to do with me, these Muslim male board game content creators. So yeah, so I think that's the connection I was trying to make, so I thought I would just mention that quickly before I go on to this week's questions. Okay, the first question that I saw or am answering is, do you play silly laugh out loud games, and if so, what are some of your favorites? I think the silliest kind of game I tend to play is Secret Hitler. I don't know if that's considered a silly game, but that's really the kind of game where I find myself laughing a lot or shouting a lot. There was one game a long time ago, we had played several games of it. It was called, was it Telestrations, I think? No, not Telestrations. It's a game where you had a prompt, you had to draw something, and then it would go around and around, I think, and the next person would then try to come up with a title for what they had seen drawn, and then so on and so forth. And the person after that would try to draw something based on that title. And then at the end, you would have something, and you would get awarded points based on whether your original was as close as, or I can't remember the rules now, but like, all I remember is that one time we had a gigantic group of people. We had 18 or so people, so we combined 2 of those games together and decided to play one large game of it with 18 people at a game night, and it was crazy. So what happened was that me and another person got the same prompt, and I remember at the end when we were doing scoring, I had stood up and like slammed my hands on the table and started yelling about how I deserve a point too. Not yelling in a bad way, like, but like in a playful way, because like me and this other person had gotten the same prompt, and I don't remember how the game plays exactly, but I just remember that I deserved a point, or at least I felt I was deserved a point, and it was crazy. Everyone was laughing hysterically, but yeah, so I enjoy games like that. I think it's fun when you have a big group of friends and you can play fun games like that. And I really like playing games like, you know, with friends, you know, like social deduction kind of games with friends that will result in a lot of laughter. In terms of party games, I don't know if Exploding Kittens is considered a party game. I don't really tend to laugh out loud a lot during that though. I don't know what other kinds of fun, silly games I might play. Usually if someone else has like a fun, silly game, that's usually when I'll end up playing it. I really enjoy Jackbox games. I know they're not board games, but I enjoy playing Jackbox games with friends, like the Jackbox TV thing. That's fun. But yeah, otherwise I really can't think of anything right now. So the next question, what is your favorite movie featuring elephants? I don't think I have one, and the reason being, as I explained a little bit in the last video, if it's a movie with a real elephant, then that elephant would have been abused to be trained to appear in that movie as an actor. So I'm going to avoid every movie that has live elephants in it. For that reason, I didn't watch Westworld season 2. I kind of slept through season 1 anyway. Like I would try to watch an episode, like I tried watching all the episodes, but I would always fall asleep like, you know, 10-15 minutes into each episode, but then I wouldn't bother rewatching it, and then I'd go on to the next episode. And by the time season 2 came out, I was like, okay, I don't even know what happened in season 1 because I slept through most of it. And then I heard that there was a real elephant being used in season 2, and for that reason I was like, I'm not going to watch it. They didn't have to use a real elephant, they could have done CGI. There's no reason to abuse an elephant to appear in a movie or a TV show. So if you guys can think of any movies that have, I actually thought of a movie that has CGI elephants in it that I absolutely loved, Tarzan. The live action Tarzan that came out when, I think a couple of years ago. I'm on Board Game Geek and I started typing in Tarzan. I'm supposed to be going to IMDb, not Board Game Geek. I just want to tell you when that movie came out and who the actor was in it so I can just make sure I get it right. Oh, it was The Legend of Tarzan, sorry, Legend of Tarzan, with Alexander Skarsgård. I believe, if I remember correctly, that movie has CGI elephants in it very briefly, but oh my god, I loved The Legend of Tarzan. One of my friends actually got it for me as like a law school graduation present, if I remember correctly. Yeah, absolutely loved that movie. So yeah, I guess... Well, it couldn't have been a law school graduation present because it came out in 2016. Okay, she got it for me as some kind of a gift because I graduated law school in 2013. But yeah, it's a really good movie and I really loved it. And now I feel like I need to watch it again. So I will watch it again sometime soon. Yeah, Legend of Tarzan, let's go with that. Oh my god, so this question I really love. Do you know your MBTI type and what do you think about it? I actually do know my MBTI type. And I am ENFJ. So I probably should have pulled this up before, so I'm not like looking it up. Okay, so ENFJ is the protagonist. So it says that we are people, so we're extroverted, intuitive, feeling, and judging. It says we're firm believers in the people. Like if you guys want to go into detail about it, you can read about it. And it says the struggle ought not to deter us from the support of a cause we believe to be just. And if anyone knows the kinds of crap I've been through in the board gaming industry, you will know that I'm a strong believer in justice and in keeping on fighting for things that you believe in, despite all the opposition that you may face. So just to relate it to the board gaming industry, I feel I have been treated very unjustly in the board gaming industry. I believe that there's a lot of two-faced fake people in the board gaming industry, a lot of people who have no integrity in the board gaming industry. And, you know, people have tried really hard to drive me up, but I am not going to back down. I'm going to stand by my principles that I believe in and continue to fight in them. And that's what I do. You know, it lists some personality types that, or some people in real life who have this kind of personality, and it lists Barack Obama, which is pretty cool. John Cusack, who I actually really like. He posts some really cool stuff on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter. Malala Yousafzai, who's this Pakistani girl who, as you all know, was shot. Let's see, Daenerys Targaryen. Okay, that's kind of one I'm not like, I wasn't a fan of Daenerys. I actually really didn't like Daenerys, and I didn't care when she died. Okay, spoiler alert, sorry. But she dies in Game of Thrones in the TV show. I should have said spoiler alert first. Maybe I'll put a spoiler alert like thing on the screen before I say that. I'm sorry if you haven't watched Game of Thrones yet and I just spoiled it for you. Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice, which is pretty cool. I like Elizabeth Bennet. Who else? Ooh, Isabel Crawley from Downton Abbey. Okay, that's cool. Also, Dumbledore from Harry Potter is an ENFJ, so that makes me happy. You can't see it right now, but I have a big giant Dumbledore Funko Pop, and Dumbledore is one of my favorite characters from Harry Potter, so it makes me happy that I share the same personality type as him. So yeah, you know, it says right here, protagonists are natural-born leaders. I don't know if that's true. Full of passion and charisma. I'll let you guys be the judge of all of this. Forming around 2% of the population, they are oftentimes our politicians, our coaches, and our teachers, reaching out and inspiring others to achieve and to do good in this world. So prior to going to law school, my goal was to actually become a professor. I had started doing a PhD in Middle Eastern Studies with the goal of becoming a professor someday in the field, because I was absolutely passionate about the field of Middle Eastern Studies and I really loved it. I would say I'm kind of like an underachiever though in life. I was not, you know, 3 years in, I realized that the field was oversaturated. It would be very hard for me to get a tenure track position at a university in a city that I would want to live in, and I would not want to end up living in the middle of nowhere. So at that point I decided to just take my master's degree and go to law school and see what I could do with a master's in Middle Eastern Studies and a law degree, and hopefully end up in human rights. I mean, that was the goal at that time. That's not exactly what happened. But yeah, so I did want to become a teacher. I wanted to become a professor, but you know, it didn't happen. But politics is something that I think I would enjoy, but or at least I thought I did until I became a content creator. Becoming a content creator has shown me it's insane, but like, if this is how bad it is in the world of board games, I can only imagine what it's like being a politician. Like, can you imagine being a politician, having people say so much crap about you that is not true, and trying to stick to your principles despite all of that, trying not to become a sellout like so many others. I see so many sellouts in the board game industry, and I don't want to become like them. I don't want to become someone who compromises on my principles so that I can receive free games, so that I can get contracts. You know, that's not me, and that's, you know, I've already been blacklisted by a number of publishers for reasons, again, I think are extremely unfair, but, you know, I'm going to stick to who I am. I'm not going to compromise on my ideals. So, you know, though I would have loved to maybe become a politician. Oh, another person with ENFJ personality is Leslie Knope, who I love so much and relate to a lot. And she does go into politics and parks and recreation. Again, spoiler alert. I keep on giving spoiler alerts after I give you guys the spoiler. So yeah, I relate a lot to Leslie Knope, but again, just from having seen how awful people can be in the board gaming world, which is not not impactful in the way that politics are in people's lives. God knows I don't have the I just don't have it in me to become a politician. It just would not happen. I'm already a wreck sometimes from all the things that happen in the board gaming world. I cannot imagine how much of a wreck I would be if I tried to become a politician. Anyway, so that's a long answer for my MBTI type and what I think about it. But yeah, I do agree with the assessment, the result. Okay, next question. Regarding this is a long question, so I'm going to try to break it down. Regarding your content, is there anything you could do that is different to other creators? What is unique to you, and can that be used as a strength? Is there anything that attracts a wider audience? And then this person gives some ideas. So I already think that what I do is a little bit different, and I know other people followed suit. So as far as I know, I was the first person who started giving 1-minute overviews on TikTok and started posting them everywhere. I started my videos in April of 2020. And then shortly thereafter, whether it was a couple of weeks, a few months, other content creators started making 1-minute overview videos, and now there are a bunch of them. But I was, the first person who started making 1-minute overview videos, and that took off. So that, at that time was different than other content creators, and now more and more of them do it. But I think that what sets me apart is, when I started making the videos, I was already really engaged with the board gaming community on Facebook. I had already been a member of so many board gaming communities on Facebook and was actively participating in them. So when people saw me making videos, it was already people that I knew who were commenting on them and liking them and boosting them into the world of board gaming, and that helped. And I continue to be really engaged in the board gaming community because that's what I love about it. I love talking to people. I love meeting new people. I love the fact that I was able to meet, friends from Twitter just last week to play board games. I mean, how freaking cool is that? Actually, it technically wasn't last week. Technically, it was Sunday, so this week. But yeah, I love that. And I'm so much looking forward to meeting friends that I've made on Facebook and Twitter and elsewhere at conventions. That's what I love most about board gaming, is meeting people and playing games with people. And so I do think that sets me apart. My platform has grown a lot since April of 2020, but I still take the time to post on Facebook groups. I still take the time to respond to everyone who tweets at me, who messages me, and it takes a lot of time. I remember when I first started doing content, I used to spend so much time responding to all these messages, and it was really draining. It was very exhausting. I was staying up late trying to respond to every Facebook message, every personal message on Twitter. It took a lot of time. I've tried to take the time I need to recharge and all of that as well. I am an extrovert, but I'm an extrovert who needs time to recharge her batteries. So I really do enjoy time to myself as well, on the couch, watching TV, just relaxing and stuff. But I do think the fact that I spend a lot of time engaging with people who watch my content sets me apart. And I think that's what attracts a wider audience. I think anyone who watches my videos knows that I'm happy to interact with them and talk to them about the games I'm playing and what they're playing and what they're doing and what I'm doing. So this person gives some ideas. They say, idea, seeing people from different walks of life, enjoying a game with you as you talk about gaming and have fun, playing a board game near nature or animals, ooh, I like that, helping new people pick and then enjoy games, doing playthroughs with friends or in the community once life starts up again. So life has started up again, and as I mentioned earlier, I have bought a new computer. I'm just waiting for it to arrive this month. I have my 2 cameras ready to go and hopefully start recording playthroughs where one will be on me and one will be on the board, and I'm going to start doing 5 to 10 minute playthroughs, where I go through a couple of rounds and post those up for you guys to see. And I do really want to do playthroughs with a couple of my local friends. I think that would be so much fun. We tend to have a lot of fun when we play games. Just recently, actually, I didn't mention this in the video because I actually ended up getting sick and we didn't finish the game. So I had started playing a game of Curious Cargo with one of my good friends here. Avi, and he's so smart. This guy is like super duper smart, and he wins every single game we ever play. So it's really funny because he knows that he can just like sometimes let me backtrack on things I've done that are stupid because he knows he's going to win anyway. So, and he'll help me try to, you know, accumulate more points because he knows I'm going to lose miserably anyways. We were playing Curious Cargo. I had placed my first tile to connect the, you know, the original pipe to this other pipe that, you know, you're trying to make pipe connections to load cargo and offload them onto trucks. So I placed the first tile, and then the second tile placement, I put down the second tile, and he looks over at my board and he's like, what the hell is that? And I look down and I'm like, what? And he like points to it, and I had connected a pipe that wasn't connected to anything. And that is a very typical Sarah move in a board game. I'll do stuff that makes no sense in board games, and then afterwards I'm like, why did I just do this? Like, why did I just connect a pipe that's not connected to anything as my move? So he let me redo it, of course. But then again, I became sick, so we didn't even get to finish the game. But yeah, I tend to do stuff like that quite often, so maybe it'll be fun for you guys to watch me mess up royally in board games. In fact, the first time I ever played Railroad Ink Challenge, I did very miserably because I didn't connect a single pair of exits in the game, which is one of the main objectives of the game in order to get points. You're supposed to connect exits with rail networks and highways in order to get those points, and I didn't have a single pair connected because I don't know what the heck I was focusing on, but clearly I wasn't focusing on winning. So yeah, I think it would be fun to do playthroughs with friends, and I would definitely like to do that. The nature thing, as it's super hot and humid, I don't know if I want to do that right now, but maybe in the autumn. I would love to do that in the fall. I love fall, it's my favorite season. Yeah, so I think that would be fun. And yeah, talking to people, introducing new people to games, maybe that if I can get that on video somehow, sure, that would be cool. So yeah, those are some really great ideas. Thank you. Okay, let's see. The last couple of questions, again, it's a longer set of questions. Besides leading with integrity, what is the highest principle from the Islamic faith that you admire and live by? Oh. Maybe I should have prepared ahead of time. You know what? I think, you know, I can't speak for all religions because I actually don't know what every single religion is in this world that exists and what their main principles are. But I think religions are supposed to be kind of a way for you to live a good life, live as a good person, right? I think that's the goal of most religions, maybe. At least I see that as being a goal for Islam. You know, being a good person. You know, Muslims believe in heaven and hell. We believe we will be judged on Judgment Day. You know, again, my relationship with religion is a bit more complicated. It's not straightforward, but you know, I think the golden rule is something that I know is in the Bible. I don't know if it's in the Quran, but I would imagine that there's some form of it. Like, just do unto others as you'd have done unto you. I don't know if it's actually in the Quran or not, but I feel like a lot of Islam is about treating others with kindness and compassion. You know, there's definitely a whole thing in Islam about there is no compulsion in religion. Never ever try to force your beliefs or, you know, way of living on anyone else. There's never supposed to be any kind of compulsion. And so that's something I've tried to live by now. I know that there was a period of time in my life where I was a lot more rigid and couldn't understand why people weren't behaving as I would behave in certain ways, but I've evolved a lot over time. So yeah, I would just try to do my best to live by the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd have done unto you. And I know that there's other kinds of rules that exist now. There's like the platinum rule, and I don't remember exactly what that is, but I think there's something like don't do things to others that you would not want done to you. I think that's so important. You know, if you don't want to be bullied yourself, don't bully other people. Like, the board gaming world, prime example, like these people in the board gaming world talk so much about, oh, we're getting harassed, we're getting bullied, we're getting treated like this. Well, then don't do that to other people. Like, you guys do it to other people all the time. Don't do that. Like, treat other people the way you want to be treated. Don't treat other people the way you don't want to be treated. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard to live by those rules. What is the most wisdom-filled Quran quote that you live by? Again, there's not really a quote that I live by, but one thing that sticks out in my mind is there's a line in the Quran that says, God will give you no greater burden than you can bear. And I believe that this is you need to have a lot of conviction in order to believe this and in order to get through the struggles that you have in your life. Like many people in this world, I've not had an easy life. I don't go into what my life has been like, on camera with people. But everyone has struggles in their life, and there's times where things can get so difficult and you wonder, why is this happening to me? So I try to go back to that quote, and I try to have as much faith as I can in God and believe that it will all be okay, because that's what will help me get through these difficult times. And people have different things that help them get through difficult times, but it's that quote that kind of helps me get through difficult times, that makes me believe, okay, I believe in a God. I believe that He has faith in me, that I can get through this difficult time. And that's why I'm facing this burden right now, because it's a burden that I can bear, apparently. So that will help me hopefully get through the difficult times I have. I fail. I'm human. I fail like everyone else. There's times where I've been utterly hopeless. But I try my best. I do. That's all you can do is try, right? So those were all the questions for this week. I hope I don't seem ever too preachy. Again, I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your background is. I don't care what your political beliefs are. As long as you treat other people with kindness, with compassion, you have empathy for other people, you try to live in a way and treat other people in a way that you want to be treated, and you don't treat other people in a way that you don't want to be treated. That's the most important thing to me at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I don't care what your religion is or what your ethnicity is or anything like that. As long as you try to be a good person, that's what matters to me, and that's what I try to do. So that's it. So again, if you made it this far, thank you for tuning in. I know this week's episode was kind of maybe not that great. It's a learning process for me. If you have suggestions, please leave them for me in the comments below. I have a question for you guys. Are you guys going to Essen? I have never been to Essen. I feel like I have a lot of vacation time I could use if I want to use it. I was supposed to go to Africa in 2020 for 3 weeks. I was supposed to go to Tanzania, Kenya, and South Africa. I've spent forever saving up for this trip. It's like a once-in-a-lifetime trip for me. It's not something I can do quite often. So it was supposed to be postponed to this summer. And then I again postponed it to next summer because I could not do everything I wanted to do this summer. There's still a lot of places in Africa that are closed. Visiting the elephant orphanage in Kenya is extremely important to me. So if I'm spending all this money to go to Africa, which is a once-in-a-lifetime trip for me, I want to make it the kind of trip that I dreamed about. So that's why I've decided to postpone it another year. And so that's why I do have some extra vacation time. And maybe I can save up to go to Essen. So I wonder if I should go to Essen. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth going for like a content creator like me, or if it's mostly geared towards publishers and designers. I saw that Devere Games made a post on Twitter yesterday about a bunch of games that they're going to be debuting at Essen, and those games look amazing. And part of me just wants to go just so I can get my hands on those 4 games that they're going to be debuting. I don't know. But if you're going to Essen, let me know if you're going. Let me know if it's worth going as someone who's going to be going as just a content creator and a board game player. That may change if I end up going. Maybe Fantasia Games will want me to represent them. I don't know. Since I do work for Fantasia as a community manager, maybe I should discuss this with them. But yeah, let me know if you're going to Fantasia. I've already booked my Airbnb for PAX Unplugged, so that is definitely set in stone. But Essen, who knows? Let me know. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. And until next week, bye.